So let's imagine that you're having a great day at work, your meetings are going very well, and then your manager messages you out of nowhere. Hey, we need to talk, it's important, are you free? So obviously, if you're aware of the massive layoffs that have been happening in the tech industry, your reaction is going to be like this little hamster over here. But when you hop on the call and you start talking, your manager informs you that there's a reorg happening. And a reorg is when your team gets split and some of the people in it get a new position. So your manager tells you that you have the choice between becoming a PM or a TPM. Now, picking between these two is a bit difficult if you don't really know what they do on a day-to-day basis and you don't have a specific background. But lucky for you, you came to Product Think and we're going to cover that today. So the first thing to know about a PM versus a TPM is that a PM is the person that is responsible for defining what you need to build in response to a problem that you're solving. Whereas a TPM is the person that's responsible to define how you're going to build what the product manager asks you to build. So in more specific terms, it's about defining product requirements when you're a product manager versus defining technical requirements, which are the implementation to a product requirement when you're a TPM. And there's a lot of overlap between both of the roles. It's mostly a lot of documentation, as you guys know, but also a lot of collaboration with different people on your team. And when you're a PM, you're collaborating with external customers, internal stakeholders like marketing, legal, and your TPM. And when you're a TPM, you're collaborating mostly with your devs, sales engineers, and subject matter experts on the topic. So that's great, but what does that actually mean on a day-to-day basis? Let's take the PM example to start. When I joined Microsoft, they were looking into the radiology sector. And more specifically, there was a lot of burnout and a lot of talk about being overloaded as a radiologist. And to understand how you're going to create a product that's going to help solve burnout, or at least reduce it, you have to start by talking to your end users, which are going to be the radiologists. And after talking with them, you realize that the cause of their burnout, the why that you're trying to solve for, is the fact that there's a lot of manual work when it comes to being a radiologist. If you're looking at an X-ray or a CT scan, you have to manually type in a report, which is your diagnosis. And then when you're seeing another patient that you haven't seen in a long time, you have to take a big pile of files that relate to them and read through them and try to understand, okay, what was the context around this specific patient? So after talking to them and understanding what their problem is, at Microsoft there is a bunch of health AI services that you can use and integrate in a radiology product. So let's say, to solve the first issue of manual typing, you think about a transcription tool that takes in whatever they're saying, the audio format, and transforms it into text. And another AI tool that you could put in your product to solve this problem is a summarization tool. It takes in reports and summarizes them into 4 or 5 points. So the list of features or capabilities that you can have in your product can get pretty extensive. And if you end up with like 15 things that you want to build, it's not really feasible, especially if you're trying to build an MVP. So the next step for you is to prioritize in terms of value that's added to your customers. And after that state, you have the problem that you're solving for, the solution that you're going to build, but you don't really have a team. You don't have anybody to build it with. And that's when you come up with an executive summary that covers what problem you're solving, why you're solving it, and what is the market that you can capture by doing that. Basically, your company's way of knowing that you're going to make money out of this and not just build some cool stuff. And the way it's done is through presenting this document or this summary to upper level management, and when they give you the green light, you can start with your product, and you're in charge of creating a roadmap. And that's when you talk about targets or target dates. So for example, we spoke about 2 tools that we wanted to integrate in our radiology product. The first one is the transcription. End of March 2024, we're gonna have that done. And then we can say April 2024, we're gonna have the UI experience completed. And after you map out all of these steps, you're going to collaborate with your TPM to turn your product requirements into the technical requirements. So that was high level what a PM does, mostly on a day-to-day. And now to switch to the TPM. We mentioned transcription for radiologists. And as a TPM, you know that in your company, there's a tool called NR, which stands for Nuance Recognizer. And the purpose of this tool is to be adapted to any industry, whether it's healthcare, finance, banking. And in your specific case, you're trying to integrate that transcription tool into the radiology product that you want to build. So in our case, if a radiologist is going to be talking, NR is going to be able to capture tough vocabulary such as osteoarthritis that I can't even pronounce correctly. And your journey is going to be similar to the one of the product manager, but with a couple of changes. So you first start by talking with the subject matter expert for NR, for the tool itself. You understand how it currently functions and what are the things that you need to take into consideration if you want to put it in a bigger product, so you want to integrate it. And there's a bunch of things that come up, such as authentication, such as security, encryption of the data, so where you're going to store it, what is the maximum API calls you can make. So a bunch of technical things you need to think about. And obviously, there's a lot of those, so you need to prioritize what you want to first tackle. And after you do that, you get more and more information so that, for example, when it comes to encryption, there's different processes to encrypt data. Do we pick MTLS, do we pick TLS for the login experience into the radiology product? If they have a Microsoft account, can they just log in with that? Or do they need to create a new account specific to your product? And after you finally come up with all the details, you can create a ticket that defines the technical implementation to bring to life the product requirements your PM gave you. You assign it to the dev team, and then you monitor and track the progress of it. So now we explained the difference between PM and TPM, and we went through kind of high level what they do on a day-to-day basis, but you're still not sure what you want to pick. Do you want to be a PM? Do you want to be a TPM? And your manager is waiting. The last part I'd like to bring up is your personality, or basically the skill set that you want to improve on. Because as a TPM, it's a better fit if you have a technical background and you enjoy being more hands-on. You enjoy technical topics. But for PM, it's more of a person that enjoys analyzing market trends or getting to know the user, a bit of psychology here and there. It's a lot of like communication with them and trying to understand what they need, and sometimes what they want is different than what they need. Another part that would link you more to TPM is if you like to be someone that is at the forefront of discovering new things, if it's in tech, if it's encryption, security, login stuff, versus a PM would be more of a person that's giving directions on a higher level. So when are we releasing the product? Who are we releasing it to? Who are the first customers? And what are the days that we have to reach, let's say? Or if you want to cancel your product, the nice term for it is sunset, which I find funny. And then in the last points, in terms of if you like being the bridge between the tech team and then the business team, you could be a technical product manager. But if you're someone that's more of a generalist and less someone that's into a specific vertical, a PM would be more of a role suited for you because you get to interact with marketing, finance, with compliance, especially if you're in healthcare, a lot of compliance. And it's more of a cross-functional role. And I think that's all for today. So quick recap, as a TPM, you're in charge of the technical implementation of a product requirement. And as a PM, you're in charge of creating a product requirement based on a customer or market need. Thank you.